I'm looking forward to meeting this gentleman right here. Chuck Ebeling is a 1966 grad of Bradley University and also a retired Chief Global Spokesperson for McDonald's.
Now that would be a fun title and a fun job.
Chuck, we could talk to you for days.
Yeah.
How are you, sir? Merry Christmas, and thanks for coming in.
Great. Great to see you guys, and great to be back in Peoria. You know, talking about chief spokesman, I worked for the CEO of McDonald's, and he'd be out talking to security analysts or university groups or whatever, and he used to like to be a little self-deprecating and say, you know, some people don't take me real seriously because I'm the CEO of a company where the chief spokesman is a clown. And I used to always cringe a little bit because, of course, he was referring to Ronald McDonald. Right. And I'd be out in the back of the room standing around with my media friends, and they'd all poke me and say, oh, your CEO just called you a clown again. So I'm used to it.
Why are you back in town today? This is, I know the story, but tell everybody why you're here today.
Well, the proximate reason is we're having an awards luncheon over at the Mark Twain Hotel at noon today for 3 young graduating seniors at Bradley who conducted a public relations program in the community to build awareness for a female empowerment program held Peoria Heights High School that they created as a class project. There are students in the Slane College of Communications and Fine Arts at Bradley, and their class taught by Dr. Ron Kapersky is a sort of what they call a capstone course, where seniors have to apply everything they've learned in 4 years of study, in this case of the public relations field and journalism, right. And apply it to a real client. And in this case, they select a local small business and a local not-for-profit organization, put together a program that brings the two of them together where they can do well and do good and get real results that is life-changing for people, creates media awareness, and so forth. Matter of fact, I guess they had their clients, the students had their clients on your show.
Indeed, they did about six weeks ago, a month ago or so.
Yeah.
And they were impressive. It was an impressive program and an important one. I mean, that was the conversation was a very good start off that I don't know that we're having in this town about empowering young women to think
and
maybe
some of the real
differently.
issues, which are very complicated.
Right.
They are. You know, I graduated from Bradley here in 1966, and that was the year that an organization called NOW, the National Organization for Women, was created in 66, and that was sort of the beginning, the dawn of awareness that women were becoming competitive in the workplace and needed to to be on a level playing field with men.
You know,
I mean, that should be obvious to everybody, but it's not.
But Chuck, that struggle, that we can go off on this for days, but that struggle still continues. I mean, I think we're way better than we used to, but boy, that conversation.
But it has nothing to do. Well, I don't say nothing to do. It's only partly to do with money. It's also about stature,
respect,
and image, and respect.
Yeah, it's about self-respect. It's having the confidence to know that you can go out and try to do your best, and you have an equal opportunity to be recognized for what you're able to do.
And this award that these young people are winning, it bears your name.
Well, it does. I created the award. Dr. Kapersky created the capstone course.
Why did you create the award? What were you hoping to do?
Well, I sat in on. I retired about 10 years ago, and I got in touch with Jeff Huberman, who's the dean of the College of Communications here at Bradley, and said, I'd like to reconnect with Bradley a little bit, and maybe I can bring something from my public relations career back to the college. And so he invited me down, and I sat in on a couple of classes. And one was Dr. Kapersky's class, and the students had just selected the local organizations they were going to work. They work on teams, and they each presented what they were working on. And I was really caught up by the creative process and And I was impressed by how professional they seemed to be for young people, 23, 24
Right.
years old, 22 years old. And so I went back and I thought about it. And I happened to read an article in Fortune magazine. And it was about something called the Orteig Prize, which I'm sure you guys have not heard of.
No.
The Orteig Prize was created in 1919 at the end of World War I by a hotel owner in New York who had the idea that at the end of the war was over, he wanted to get international business back into his hotel in New York City, particularly from Europe and France and England. And he had this idea. He'd heard Eddie Rickenbacker, the famous ace from World War I, come in and give a presentation to at the hotel, and he talked about the emergence of flight. And this hotel guy came up with the creative idea. He said, "I'd like to sponsor a prize for the first person that could fly across the Atlantic Ocean nonstop." Mm-hmm. And so he created the Orteig Prize. $25,000 pot, a lot of money in 1919, like these space prizes they have today. And so nothing happened. He said it's a 5-year program. Nothing happened in the 5 years. So he renewed the prize and issued a press release again, and a bunch of people went to work. Flight was developing as a technology, as a science. And one of the guys who was working on trying to win the prize was named Charles Lindbergh, and he made it. He made it from the United States to Paris, France.
I didn't know he won
nonstop.
money for that.
He won the Orteig Prize.
I did not know that.
And he did it in order to win the prize. And by the way, there were about close to a dozen other competitors who made it in subsequent months. But he was the first.
So how does that?
Bring it back to me. This guy created a PR project for his hotel to get European customers back after World War I, with the idea of this crazy idea, the first person to cross the Atlantic, and in doing so, he pushed technology. He revolutionized travel, the commercial airline business, military flight, and so forth, and it all came out of a prize. And I thought about Ron's class, and I thought, why don't we create a prize to push these kids a little harder, give them an incentive for recognition, for excellence in professional public relations.
Very cool.
And so I came back, talked to Ron and the dean, and we had a couple of meetings and came up with a judging process and modeled this after the Public Relations Society's professional program for recognizing excellence in public relations. And now here's the other piece of it. I worked for a big hamburger company and promoted Big Macs and Ronald McDonald and a lot of fun stuff like that. But we also got to do a lot of things because McDonald's was so successful. One of the principles of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, was giving back to the communities that make it successful. And I got to help create a program called Ronald McDonald House, which is a home away for kids or for parents of seriously ill kids. And we created the second one in Chicago I didn't do it myself. I was the communications person, but I brought together the medical people and the McDonald's people and so forth. And in creating the second one, we said if we can do two, why couldn't we do a lot of them in different communities? Now there's something like 330 of them across the world. Third largest children's charity is Ronald McDonald House Charities. And so the idea of bringing together for-profit enterprises in not-for-profit causes is something that I've had a chance to do and work on throughout my business career, and it's been, to me, one of the greatest satisfactions. So when we recognize the opportunity here to bring together local businesses and local not-for-profits in creative communications programs that would really benefit people in the real world, I thought, what a great experience for these kids. What a great outreach for Bradley University for the kind of professional training they're giving students back into the community that hosts the university. It's one of those things where truly everybody wins. The students go away with a great learning experience, whether they win the big prize or not.
Right.
That's just a cherry on top of the cake.
Is there a cash prize? Is there a cash prize?
There's a cash prize.
That's nice.
It's not the gazillion, but it's
But
it's
nice.
a couple of nice dinners out or whatever.
Nice. Yeah, that's
is
nice.
a cash prize, and probably more importantly, a letter of commendation,
Oh, it
which
looks good on
can
a
go on the
resume.
Well, yeah,
portfolio.
resume. There's a prize right there to win something like that. Will pay benefits down the road.
Well, one of the things that I recognized, and this is the 16th cycle we've done this award. We do it twice a year each semester, so it's been going on for 8 years. And the programs that I've seen, not just the winning programs, but in all the programs I've seen, in many cases, if you put a commercial value on these programs in terms of what professional consultants would charge and PR agencies and public relations departments of places like Caterpillar and so forth, these programs would cost anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 in real
money.
Real money. The students that did the winning program this year estimated that their project would have cost about $12,000 had they been charging like professionals for it, and they don't charge a nickel. It's all pro bono, other than a couple dollars out of pocket.
I think what the great part is too, and you know, with your relationship with Ron, is that this whole thing is crafted for the professional world. This is actually an opportunity for them to get their projects judged on a very high professional level. So whether you win or not, the benefits of putting this together, having it critiqued, know where you made your mistakes, is something that
it's a
is a great opportunity.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do is the judging for the prize is not done by me or Dr. Kapersky, who teaches the program, but he recruits 2 other professors in the communications division, who and then an outside professional judge. In this case, the lady was director of member services for the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce, and they see the summaries of the programs without the names of the students on it, and so
There's no bias.
They're just selecting this based on the professional accomplishments.
You know what I like about this, Chuck, and we got just a second here to wrap up. But what I like about this is that we talk a lot these days about how kids graduate from college with, and then they don't know what to do because they don't have a skill. I mean, they graduate, absolutely. And there's a lot of conversation about that these days. Right. Well, here's an example of where Ron's students in the PR department over there, and with your help and guidance as well as an alum, I don't know how many kids this touches, but you say it's a couple dozen, or it's 50, or it's 100 in this group right here. They're leaving with real world skills that next month they could go to work for somebody.
Yeah, these are credentials that show that they can make things happen in the real world. One last thing I'd like to mention is there's a nice story in the Journal Star today about the new Hayden Clark Alumni Center up at Bradley, which has created a beautiful museum-type display on the history of Bradley University. And I know you're building a Peoria area museum that's going to be wonderful right down the street from your studios here. And this is a new historical resource that people in the community should be proud of and can visit, no charge, open during regular hours. It's the Hayden Clark Alumni Center. It's right in Bradley Hall. On the back side of Bradley Hall, they built a beautiful facade, and I went through it yesterday, and part of it is the history of this community.
Yeah,
it's really
nice.
It's
I've
neat.
heard it's really cool.
Yeah, you got to go over there.
Chuck Ebeling is going to present the Ebeling Award today at the Mark Twain Hotel to Ron Kapersky's folks at Bradley University in the PR department over there, and we occasionally talk to them. And it's nice to meet you, Chuck. We're glad you came
And I
back.
would like to just spend some time hearing all the stories he must have from traveling the world.
We need some stories. We need some McDonald's stories one of these days.
I'll tell you what the hamburger really